I have a 5.7 liter V8 and a 2.5 liter inline 4 turbo Jeep Grand Cherokee Buick Enclave. Now for 2025, Buick decided no more V6, and I'm pretty sure this will be the last year for the 5.7. Now I know some people are going to think that this is unfair, but I think I'm going to shock a few people in this video. We're going to do a 0 to 60 run, and I'm going to show you guys MPG for both. Let's drive the Buick first. Alright, let's go ahead and get down the road. So this is my first time actually driving the Buick, although I've driven the Chevy Traverse for 2024 redesign and the GMC Acadia for 2024 redesign. Essentially, they're probably going to drive the same. They have the same powertrain. But I will say, I think some people are going to be shocked by the performance on this engine. I am about 4,700 feet above sea level, so that's why I think a lot of people are going to be shocked by the performance on this Buick compared to the V8, right? Now, getting into the Buick, I'll show it to you guys in a second, but the dash is very, very nice. The layout, I think that they've done the absolute best in the segment, guys. Like, there's no denying this SUV. Taking turns, it feels sporty, planted, and riding on 22-inch wheels, right? So big wheels, and most people aren't going to notice any difference on the ride compared to the 20s and 22s. Tires have gotten a lot better. I think that if you're a little bit younger and you don't mind a little bit of a sporty feel, then this is going to be perfect for you, for sure. Visibility out the front, it's what you would expect. I feel as though these SUVs have gotten so much better. The pillars are a little bit smaller, a little bit of acceleration here. The only thing about this engine is it sounds like a 4-cylinder. No lie, it sounds like a 4-cylinder, and that is not a good thing. It's just not. It sounds like a 4-cylinder. It sounds like it's straining. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But let's go ahead and discuss the powertrain, and then I'm going to show you guys the 0 to 60 up next. This is going to be a 2.5 liter inline 4 turbo. It's going to have 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes through an 8-speed transmission. Let's see how it performs. Here we go.
$30, $60.
So 0 to 60 in 8.84 seconds. I cannot wait to see what that 5.7 is going to do. Now keep in mind, the elevation, the air is thinner, naturally aspirated engines just don't perform as good. And I don't know if you guys heard that engine, but as I said, it's loud. And it's loud in a way of, like, it sounds like it's straining. Now obviously it's turbocharged, so it doesn't feel slow. I think for what you're driving, I don't expect most people are going to be looking for this to perform like a Corvette, obviously, right? But it's going to perform, I would say, right in the middle of everyone else. I don't think it's going to outperform much of anyone. This will definitely outperform the naturally aspirated V6 from Jeep, but the 5.7, it might be about right there with this engine, which is what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen here. Now, one thing about these wheels, you are going to pick up just a little bit of road noise on the larger wheels. You just are. That's the very first thing I noticed once I got over 60 miles an hour. But the way that it handles, it performs nicely. The steering is nice and precise. The brake feel is a little touchy. I feel like normally GM products don't have touchy brakes. Let me try it when we get up there. But visibility out the back, you know, those rear pillars are pretty big. Those are the D pillars, I believe. They're big. And if you have the third row seat down, or even up, you can still see. If the headrests are up, they're gonna kind of protrude, but you have a 360 camera view, so you can always use those cameras to look around the SUV. Now we're getting off the exit right here. I I did reset the fuel economy. It's saying that we're getting 17.8 as of right now, and it's just continually going up. Now let's go ahead and hit those brakes. No, the brake feel, the initial bite, it's a little touchy, but it's not touchy at all. They feel great. The steering feel is nice and precise. It's not too loose. I would like it a little bit more stiffer for myself. And if I were to put it in sport mode, let's see. If I put it in sport mode, does that tighten it up a little bit? I don't, it might have done something. Normally sport mode doesn't do anything in my opinion. I've done a lot of different drive modes, and I've noticed that they don't make a huge difference, but they have a tour mode that it sits in. There's no eco mode. I always like to see that at the very least. But yeah, this feels really good on the road. Just a little bit of road noise. The AC, it blows out nice cold air. It's about 93 degrees outside. And the mirrors, something I will say, these mirrors are kind of small, but you can see around. You have blind spot monitoring, all that good stuff. Changing lanes, you can use the mirror, they're great. I think that they're just a little smaller for what I'm used to. I think the ones in the Jeep are a lot bigger. That's why I'm starting to see just how small these are. But overall, the layout of the interior is very clean. There's not a lot of buttons on the outside. And this has a 30-inch display too, so you can see a lot of different information. It also has heads-up display, so they give you a lot of driver information that you can see at your fingertips, and it keeps your eyes on the road. Lastly, this one does have Super Cruise, so it can drive itself, literally drive itself, and it works amazingly too. We just got off on exit 3. Now you can put your trip information here, or you can look at it on this side, so you guys can see we're at 22.1. I did reset it right before the 0 to 60. One thing I like about this SUV is they do give you these gauges as well. Actually, the light just turned green, by the way. So we ended off at 22.5 mpg. Okay, now we're gonna go back the opposite direction, but you guys can see all the temperatures right there. Transmission, coolant, oil, love that. Great information. And that's really good for if you're towing a trailer. I like to monitor those temperatures when I'm just cruising around unloaded, not towing, not hauling, and then I like to look at them with that. Going about 65 miles an hour. About 66 dB inside the interior. By the window, about 65. Out back, 63 out back. This doesn't feel as refined as you would expect for the price point. It's not until you get into like the full-size SUV segment that you start to see that. Now the Grand Cherokee, I think Jeep is trying to make that something that is not because of the price point. It is higher, but it doesn't give you that, like, I don't know, it doesn't have that status yet because of the powertrains that they offer. It's just behind for sure. But this doesn't feel as refined as I would like it to be, even at 65 grand. So we'll have to see how that Jeep is. I haven't driven a Jeep in a long time, so this is going to be good for myself as well. But so far we're at, where are we at? Oh, there it is. We're at 23.5 mpg. This might do a lot better. Now you can drive this just in front wheel drive, and you can put it into all wheel drive if you like. And I like that. I like, it's just a push of a button and it does it instantly. I like that. So two wheel drive obviously gives you better fuel economy. And on the Jeep, it's just full-time four-wheel drive. You know, I had to turn on the Super Cruise. They have the absolute best, because if someone's going slow, it'll put the signal on to get around them. See this? Putting the signal on for me. This takes all the fatigue out of driving right here. And this interior is amazing. I mean, you have to give it to Buick. Like, they are asking a steep price, but the amount of features you get in this thing is pretty, oh, I don't want to go that far over now. Come on, let's go back this way. But it is pretty cool. The Super Cruise is amazing in this, and I would definitely opt my SUV or whatever truck to have it. But as I was saying, I actually forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, this interior is nice. It's really done well. And this is probably why they think they can ask the big money. You have a twin panel moonroof, right? Oh, that's what I was gonna say. This also has seat massagers. But I will say it is a disappointment. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is a disappointment. It only has one setting, which is roll. And I've yet to feel it. I tried using it yesterday when I did a review on this one. Couldn't feel it. But the Jeeps, you're gonna see in a second, is a lot better. But we should be back in about 5 minutes and I'll show you guys where we end off on the fuel economy. We'll just stop here. We got 23.9, 12.2 miles driven. I would say that if you look at the sticker says 24 on the highway, 19 in the city, 21 combined. And I would say that drive with the stops and the acceleration is probably about, I would say 60-40. So 60% highway, 40% city. Not bad. We're driving the Jeep Grand Cherokee now. And I will say, this interior is hot. I got inside that Buick earlier today, so it was a little bit cooler, but it was also sitting. I also ran this through the car wash, and it's actually showing 73 degrees outside, but it's actually 93. Let's go ahead and get down the road. Oh wow. That low end torque. That right there. That won the battle for me already. I'm already gonna probably be, yeah. I like the bigger engines, I just do. And they just have so much low end grunt. But you almost have to tap the fuel tank. But nevertheless, the way the world's going, they want you to believe that smaller engines are more efficient and the turbo's gonna help you still get up to speed on the highway, but the V8s are just not good for the environment. It is what it is. I feel as though people are gonna be using more fuel because of those smaller engines, because the lack of power, right? That's just my theory here. But this has 20-inch wheels, and the windows up front are definitely smaller. This actually feels smaller altogether. I just noticed that. Let me put my seat down a little bit. I was a little bit low in that Buick. Let's see. I do like the fact that you have tilt headrests, things like that. But this definitely does feel noticeably smaller on the inside. That is very interesting. I wasn't expecting that. But I will say, this interior feels outdated. I never thought I'd say it. It feels like this is an older SUV compared to the Buick. Wow. Now this does have like night vision. It has like a lot of nice features, and you have the massage seats top and bottom, but the screen is a lot smaller. I mean, if you add both of the screens up, I mean, you still have 20 inches of screen versus the 30 inches of screen in that Buick. But yeah, this definitely does feel a little less appealing to me now. The seats feel a little stiffer. I'm shocked by that, because normally Jeeps have nice seats. I mean, they're still nice. They have great bolstering, and you can actually adjust the bolstering, I believe, on these seats as well. Let me see. Actually, no, it's actually a button on the side of the seat on the outside. You have a thigh support, which is nice. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of nice features that you get. Yes, you can change the bolstering on the seats. So this is definitely more luxurious, but you're gonna spend about, what, 8 grand more in that ballpark to get a lot of these features. Let's go ahead and discuss the powertrains, and I'm gonna show you guys 0 to 60. They say that there's no replacement for displacement, and this Jeep has double the displacement as the Buick. 390 horsepower, 357 pound-feet of torque. All that power goes to an 8-speed transmission. Let's see how it performs. Here we go.
$30, $60.
That was impressive. That was very impressive. 7.8. So yes, The 5.7 is way faster. Now I did a video with a Chevy Tahoe and Traverse, and the Traverse beat the Tahoe with the 2.54. Now obviously the 5.3, it's, you know, it's took on a lot more weight, so obviously that's why the Traverse won, and that's why I did this test, because I wanted to see the difference. Now if I were to use the V6 for the Jeep, it would lose horribly. It would lose on fuel economy and on the performance. It would just get destroyed. I think the 0 to 60 that I did a long time ago was like almost 10 seconds on the naturally aspirated V6. So, you know, when it's all said and done, the AC doesn't work that good in here. Like, I've been waiting for it to cool down, but I mean, I'm sure you guys can hear it. It's on full blast. There's just not a lot of air coming out of these vents. Let me see, hold on, let me just see really quickly. I had it going on the windshield because of my camera, because it gets hot, but even with it blowing just out of the top vents, it's nowhere near the capacity that the Buick Enclave has. I was gonna say GMC Acadia, but you know, the Buick has great air conditioning. I mean, it's 93 degrees outside. Even in here, it's now saying 93 degrees. And you want that AC to work, obviously. The ventilated seats work better in the Buick too. So seats and fan speed work better in the Buick, hands down. The brake feel is very close, but the Jeep does win there. I like the brake feel. This has air suspension, and let me just say it. Oh, you're not gonna beat this. You're just not gonna beat it. The mirrors are a little bit bigger, so I think that you can see out of it a lot better. Out back, oh, I have the seats down. Okay, I'm not gonna use that as an example. But if the seats were up, I think the Buick would have a little bit more visibility out the back. This is actually only a 6-passenger compared to the Buick that has the 3 across in the 3rd row. And this probably feels, I would say, a little bit more sportier. I didn't put either SUV in their sport modes for the 0 to 60. I don't think it makes a difference. But I like the steering feel better. It's nice and tight. I like it tight for myself, especially at these higher speeds, because I don't like that feeling of like sway. It makes me feel nauseous. And this does have a little bit tighter steering feel for sure. But the AC is definitely a letdown. The road noise, 20-inch wheels, there's still some road noise there, but I'm actually shocked at just how much smaller this feels. Like if you were to get out of this into a Wagoneer, it's a huge difference, but this feels smaller than the Buick. Not by much, but the dash, that's where I can really see the difference at. And this does have like a autonomous driving mode, but you have to keep your hands on the steering wheel when you use it. So, you know, I'm just gonna be honest with you, you're gonna spend more for the Jeep in terms of the MSRP, but right now the discounts that you can get on these Jeeps are insane. So they're about the same price as the Buick. And that's why you have to really do a lot of research. I don't care which brand you like the most. You gotta look at them all, because sometimes you might find a lot of things you like in one versus the other, right? But this definitely does feel a lot more sportier, a little bit more secure. The road noise, you can hear road noise from these tires, and they're not the greatest tires. I mean, I feel as though they could do a better job isolating some of that road noise for sure. I can hear the road noise over the fan speed. I'm sure you guys can hear that inside the car. So let's go ahead and check out where we are for fuel economy. We are off the interstate. We're gonna go back the opposite direction. And here's where we are. Wow, not too far behind, right? Not far behind at all, actually. I'll show you guys where we were, because I can't remember. I think we were like, what, 22 and a half, 23, somewhere in there. But interesting enough, this is a V8, right? I would think that there should be a larger discrepancy between the MPG, right? So, as I said earlier, there is the census that you have to go with the smaller engine to get better fuel economy, but it's not that much different. '67 actually. Actually, there's a truck right there. Let's try that one more time. $66. I'm having like a lot of like outside noise. 70 on the window. And 65 out back. This has more road noise, shockingly, with smaller wheels and probably a little bit more. I think this probably has a little bit more tire. I feel as though the Buick had more road noise from the tires, but that's picking up on more sound inside the interior. Interesting. That is interesting. This is seat massagers right here. You have, what is that, 5 different settings, 3 levels of intensity, which was the same for the Buick. They only have 1 setting. I think the low extend is my favorite so far. I like the waterfall as well, but yeah, this one is only on the top. I might say it was on top and bottom, but it's just on the top, just like on the Buick. And as I said, look at this interior. It's still a really nice interior. It really is. Like, I like the screen here. I think that this is a lot more easier to use for some people. And as I said, this does have night vision. It just has a lot more features than what you would see on that Buick. Heads-up display is right up there. But I would say that the Buick interior makes this feel old. Now, here's some of the temperatures. I like that they show this to you. This does have MDS, so you guys can see that it's saying that we're in 4-cylinder mode. So it will deactivate 4 cylinders if you're cruising on the highway. Me personally, I would never use that system. I would always use the gear limiter and just lock it into 8th gear. Now, we should be back to the dealership in about 5 minutes, and I'll show you guys where we end off at. Just pull back in. 21.2 mpg, 12.4 miles driven. I mean, we know who won this, but how much are you gonna spend at the pump? Let's find out. I never thought I'd say this, but I actually like the Buick better today. And as far as the fuel economy goes, it goes to the Buick. As far as the performance goes, no doubt, V8 wins. When it comes down to the sound alone, see, for me personally, hearing that whiny 4-cylinder engine, that was Buick's biggest mistake on this SUV. They should have 100% offered at least a V6 naturally aspirated for this model year, because most people are going to prefer that V6. I feel as though the inline 4 has that whiny sound, and I just don't like it. But hey, you can get close to 24 mpg with mixed driving, which is nice. So this is something that you have to consider. Now, the Jeep did feel smaller today, and of course you're going to pay about $6 grand more if you are considering this SUV. Now, right now they have some big discounts, and that is a really nice comparison. Here is, these are about the same money. I mean, you can probably get a couple $1,000s off on the Buicks right now, and this right here is about 13 grand off. So 72,000, 65,000, you do the math, they're about the same money, and this has a V8, so you have to consider that. And I think for most people spending this kind of money, fuel economy is not a big deal, but it's something to consider for some people. I hope you guys liked the video. I think that the Buick won today. I liked it the best when it came down to the interior, but I will say for the money, I would definitely choose the Jeep if they're the same price.